Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast episode will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, please do not continue to watch or listen until you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. Today, we are covering Smile 2, and you can see that Jess is getting in the spirit of things. But before we go into the review, let's grab our cups and talk about tea. So, I am drinking some bougie loose leaf tea. I am drinking the Kilu 2 Mints tea, which is 85% spearmint and then 15% peppermint tea.
Yum, yum.
It's very good.
We had very similar lines of thinking because I am drinking Bigelow's Perfectly Mint tea.
Ooh.
And it has black tea and spearmint.
Oh, but as always for our tea sippers out there, brew yourself a cup of tea, sit back, relax, and we hope you enjoy the review. And we'll see how crazy this recording is because we normally don't record ourselves online. And it's been a hot minute. Back when it was the lockdown, we would do it quite a bit. Actually,
or when we had the ice storm. I think that was the last one.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's been the last one. We once in a great while we'll do it now still.
Yeah.
But anyways.
When the need arises for it.
Yes. But for the summary.
It'll be great, I can tell.
Yeah. A pop star who is on her or about to start her comeback tour because she was abusing alcohol and drugs becomes cursed with the smile monster.
Trauma demon.
The trauma demon, yeah. After witnessing a high school friend kill themselves.
And drug dealer.
Yeah, and drug dealer. Yeah. And so, yeah. Yep. So, oh man, so trigger warning, I guess, for this movie does contain a lot of, it contains suicide and it also contains lots of psychological
mental health issues.
Yeah, mental health issues.
And
car crash stuff. It's gruesome and it doesn't shy away from it.
Yeah.
Yep. But for entertainment. So I remember really enjoying the first one. And I thought the main character that they had chosen was really interesting. But I have to say, this one, I had low expectations for this movie. But it definitely it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. We'll talk about it later. I don't really agree with how they did the ending, but I understand why they did it that way. But anyways, I personally give it a 7.5. I thought it was really well done. It was, from the perspective of this pop star, all of the different aspects of her life. And then her, in addition, having to battle with the trauma demon. And, I kind of wish... The reason why I didn't rate it higher is I feel first, the ending, I'll talk about that later, but also I feel even though it's a sequel, I feel like they should have really played upon whether or not what she was experiencing was actually the demon or something psychological that was happening. I thought that would have made it a lot more fun and interesting. But yeah, this one, they definitely made it way more of a mind break type of movie where you weren't sure what the demon was making her experience versus what she was actually experiencing. And that made it a lot more interesting.
And how far back did it go?
Yes. Yeah. Like, especially like with the ending that they did chose, you're like how much in her head and for how long was it like that? Yeah. Like her friend or whatever, Gemma, like never actually coming there. Like that was a pretty big reveal. And I also like that they touch on the actual music industry itself and how like difficult and unforgiving it is for people that are going through mental health issues, like even physical issues. Like you hear about singers that are like sick and they're having to still go on stage and perform. And so it kind of like puts us backstage with someone like actually experiencing that. Also, I have a question for you, Jess. I did not realize that the person that played Jasmine in the live action Aladdin was the same person that was the main character in this movie. Did you realize that? Because I didn't realize it until she was.
Initially.
Yeah. Was like what happened was like when she was at the piano and singing, I'm like, wow, that doesn't sound like voiceover. Is that actually her? I'm like, she's really talented. And then so I looked up her name. I'm like, Naomi Scott. And then I like looked at what other movies she was in. I'm like, that's why.
She was also in the new Power Rangers movie.
That happened a hot minute ago, though.
It did.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't remember that no more. What was she the Pink Ranger? What
I
did
think so.
Okay. Oh man, I'm gonna have to rewatch that. Okay. Anyways.
In a minute.
So for this movie, for Smile 2, it's like overall, like I think they did such a good job like showing her trauma, what she's experiencing, the difficulty of her trying to come out of that, the unforgivingness and push that everyone around her is trying to do, and how it's like they are trying to be supportive, but they're also not very understanding and empathetic towards her. And then in all of this, they have the trauma demon. I will say there are some silly scares, like like when she looks at her closet and it's a group of fans. It's like
actually dropped with that.
It's like it was creepy, but it's also silly at points too. I don't know. It's like it was creepy. Yeah. It was creepy, or like it's just kind of one of those things where like there were parts of the scene that made me laugh, and other parts where I was like, oh, that's really effective. I forgot which part in the movie this was, but like the part where she saw one of them. And then the headlights was going through the eyes and the mouth.
That was Gemma. That was towards the beginning.
Yeah. Because it's after she would like woke up from her nightmare or whatever. That one, like, once you know why she dreamt that or understand like how traumatizing it is, it's like you understand why they did that. But it's kind of jarring to the point where like I laughed out loud when it happened. But no, it's like overall though, I feel like they do pretty decent effective scares, since we already know from the last movie that it can kind of pretend to be somebody for a decent amount. It did keep me second guessing, and they play upon that in the movie with Gemma, where it's like you first see like the demon version when in the bed, and then you're like, okay, this one has to be real, but it's like, nope, red herring, it actually wasn't real. And anyway, they have a really fun time. Yeah. And anyway, so I really enjoyed the movie. I feel like it stands on its own pretty well. And even like someone that hadn't watched the first movie can still come into this one and be able to still enjoy and understand what's going on.
They give you enough to go on.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I didn't have high hopes for the sequel, and it very well exceeded them. So yeah, I liked it.
I'm sorry, did I miss your rating?
7.5.
Okay.
Yep.
That's funny because I actually gave it a 7.5 as well.
Oh man, that rarely happens for entertainment.
I know. Yeah, I thought the effects for the most part were really good. I did think there were a few jump scares that weren't exactly earned. But most of them I feel like they had a purpose at least. So it wasn't necessarily all jump scares for the sake of jump scares. They did have a lot of psychological play there. Um, the practical effects were pretty good, like with the blood, the bone sticking out of her leg, that kind of stuff. That was decent. Um, there are just some questions about the story itself and the timeline and everything that really takes me out of the movie experience, but on the whole, it was very interesting and it went a slightly different way with it. I feel like I wish they would have been a little bit bit more logical with it.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing a lot on her emotions and recovery and things like that, which I completely understand, and for that kind of character, it definitely makes sense. I just would have preferred personally to see her try to do a bit more research into how far back this went and
Yeah.
is what this ER nurse kind of dude telling me true? What happened to these people? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we'll get to more of that in the realism scale, of course, but on the whole, it was definitely interesting.
I didn't want to talk about the ending until you had said what you wanted to say, so I'm going to jump in and talk about the ending, and I want to hear what you think about the ending.
I had questions about the ending too.
Yeah, so like I really wish they would have gone through and shown what would happen if she had like died and then come back. Like I was so curious to see what would happen, and it honestly felt like a cop out that they didn't follow through with that. But from the trauma demon's perspective, I can understand that, you know, she's a pop star and she's going to be singing in front of like hundreds of thousands of people, that, you know, if I were a parasite and I wanted to spread my evil around, that would be like the ideal scenario. So I could understand it trying to do whatever it could and wanting to be able to do that. But it's like, it ends up fucking with your brain where you're like, yeah, how far back does it go? How long has it been like that? Is like, did the guy ever exist? It made it sound like he never did. And so what was she doing during that whole time? Was she just sleeping? Was she just wandering around? But
it be talking to air.
yeah, but it definitely makes it feel kind of lackluster. Like they could have either put more effort into that as a twist, or they could have followed through, which is what I kind of was hoping that they would do. Like I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to see what would happen.
See, now it would have been even more terrifying if they had gone through with it and she thought she had gotten rid of it, and then it still appeared on stage.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and move into realism, because a lot of what I have to say and the questions that I have involve like the continuity between the two movies.
Well, we'll keep everyone on edge.
A little bit, yeah.
So for realism, I'll be honest, I didn't write anything about realism. So this is me just pulling it out of my ass. But I mean, I give it a 3. But so for but okay, it's not like our other recordings, Jess, where we're watching back-to-back movies. Like at least this time, I just watched it yesterday. But anyway.
I'm still disappointed. You had all day yesterday.
I know. But
Take notes.
I'm just so enraptured in the movie. I just couldn't think of anything.
You could have written notes after, ma'am. I'm not gonna pull that crap with me.
But like the way that portrays like recovering and mental illness, I feel like it does a really good job. And it's like just like with the previous movie, but I feel like more so in this one, the trauma demon really does like represent almost kind of like an STD from It Follows. It kind of like represents like trauma and mental illness and how it like can affect other people around you. But so it's like from that regard, it feels like it very much feels like that's what they're trying to show, while also doing a really good job of making you empathize with the main character about like her not being understood. I will say that I feel like it took people too long to notice her when she was trying to escape the clinic or whatever, because
oh yeah,
it was a lot of
way
blood.
too long.
A lot of blood.
Yeah.
A lot of blood. And also surprised that I don't know. I even if she like ripped up a blanket and made a skirt out of it or something, like the fact that she's just like, oh, I'm just gonna put a sweatshirt over it. This is fine.
That will cover most of it.
Yeah, I can do this. It's like, man.
I attributed that to panic.
Yeah,
personally.
yeah. Though, I mean, it's kind of a good thing in a way that they did the red herring ending and then switched it over to where it's like that never happened. Because could you imagine if she had beaten the demon? Like, she still killed her mom, and so she was definitely going to jail. like her life would still be ruined.
And stole a gun.
Yeah.
Car.
Yeah, like her life would be destroyed even if she like had lived. So it's like, what kind of life would she? So I kind of almost feel like they might have backed themselves into a corner and been like, oh fuck, how do we fix this?
Well, it's kind of like the get out of it card that they did in the first movie. Like,
yeah,
if you kill someone in a brutal way and have someone else witness it, then it passes to the witness.
mm-hmm.
So, but then you still have a witness to your murder. Kind of a problem. So the one guy that did it got convicted and is now serving life in prison.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks. So, I mean...
Yeah.
That's kind of a crap hand to deal with.
Yeah. But yeah. But I feel like the way that they portrayed like the mother kind of like, you know, had supported her but kind of like transformed into like almost like obsessed with her, like being sick, like very much like using her daughter for both of their
like pageant mom kind of thing.
Yeah, success. I mean, we see that a lot in many different examples.
Oh yeah.
And then also like the way that Sky like treated like the backup dancers and the assistant. Like obviously she was very stressed and going through a lot of troubling things during that, but it's like you hear about like how not everyone obviously, but some like celebrity pop stars like treat the people around them really poorly because of the fame or whatever, and in this situation, I think it's because of the fact that she's struggling so much with her like mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And being chased
and
by a smelling. Yeah. Yeah.
Hallucinations definitely don't help.
Yeah. Um, and then them mentioning about like how they wouldn't allow her to get like Vicodin because she has a history of like drug abuse and stuff like that. That's definitely on par.
Mhm.
But
Opioids are notoriously difficult, usually, to get a hold of anyway, with a prescription, and they're highly controlled too. So, like, even if you do get a prescription, they're very, very adamant about you only get this amount.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you need more, then you're going to have to jump through all kinds of hoops to get another prescription for it.
Yeah.
So, it's a problem.
Yep. But that's what I got for it's like I do have a couple of questions about realism, but I don't know. Mostly like did I question the microphone through the eye thing? Like she would have had to be really forceful.
Yeah, I mean, she was technically possessed at the time, but still.
Yeah.
It also would take a lot of force to stay standing while bashing your face in.
Yeah. Well, and then even the
with weight, you know?
yeah, even the guy like hitting his face with the like
with a 35-pound weight.
Yeah. Like how do you it's like I couldn't have picked an easier way.
I mean, I get it had to be brutal, but I'm sure there was like a knife in the kitchen or something.
But didn't in the first movie she like the first person like had slit their throat.
Yeah.
So it's like why not just do that? It's like that's traumatizing enough.
Saying, yeah.
But yeah.
Literally what I was suggesting with the knife, but okay.
Huh? Yeah, okay.
It's fine.
But
Fine.
okay. I'm good. Your turn.
Okay. So personally I give it a 2. A lot of the interactions felt really good and authentic, organic, but a lot of the actual events and the outcomes of certain events don't make sense logically. So for one, like we can allow some things for like luck and things like that, but let's be real, in the very beginning, the cop dude had the worst luck ever. He goes in there and with one bullet without aiming, he killed the dude that he was trying to transfer the demon to.
Yeah.
Without aiming. Like he fired it off mostly as cover as he staggered back from being hit with a bullet in the arm. And he ended up killing the dude.
Oopsie poopsie.
And then a group of them gets there and he's stuck and has to find a different way out. And they're firing at him while he runs. And how fast was that truck going that hit him in the street? Because I feel like they were going a bit fast for it to be that much damage. And I get it was a big truck. But still, like, I feel like that was a bit much. I also want to know where his bottom half went. Because we see a foot and a blood smear and some entrails and the torso. But we don't see the bottom half, like the rest of the bottom half, minus the foot. Just, personal question. I do love the different angles that they use in the movie. The framing of Skye in the mirror after she drops the pills and her mom knocks on the door. She's talking to the mom and they never show Skye's face while she's talking to the mom. I thought that was really cool. But then she goes to the drug dealer friend from high school and guy's like, I'm having the worst week, then proceeds to take more drugs. Like, that's gonna make it better? I guess. I feel like the dude's paranoid enough. Maybe he shouldn't, but like, Also, when he does start going off the deep end and everything and start pounding his face in and dies, there are fingerprints everywhere.
Yeah.
There's vomit in the apartment now.
Yeah.
From her. There are
and she even looks it up.
with texts suggesting that she was going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, phone records are a thing. Like, why would you at that point not call the police?
Yeah.
And say, I didn't know he had drugs. Like, they haven't been over here anytime I've been here. He was an old friend from high school. I was just kind of visiting. Been stressed with the tour coming up. I wanted to talk to a friend. And he freaked out, I'm guessing because of the drugs. And, the heck? Like, at least call, because they're going to...
Yeah,
They should have contacted her pretty dang soon after. That was a big commotion. She was running from the area afterwards. So someone would have seen or heard something.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't report it right away, like, a body starts to smell after a little while.
Well, and plus, like, her not calling, like, I understand that she didn't want them to know that she's trying to get Vicodin, but, you know, to your point, she could have had that cover-up story, and in addition to that, like, her not calling makes it look like she is almost an accomplice.
Yes.
Or like
she was involved in it or something. It makes her look really bad.
Yeah.
It looks really bad.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Then when there's she thinks the psycho fan is in her apartment running after her naked.
Yeah. Oh, this freaking skid marks, by the way, in the underwear. That was disgusting.
Yes, that made me gag. That's not okay. But anyway, she thinks that someone might be in her apartment, and it's an apartment that has doormen, but do they not have security?
They would have to, yeah.
I feel like they should have security there, and if she thinks that there's someone in her apartment that could harm her, then maybe she should call someone, even if it's like a false alarm. Just have them go through, I thought I heard something or saw something, I'm really freaked out, can you just, like, do a quick walkthrough?
Yeah.
You know, like, that's kind of what they're there for.
Yeah. Well, and I would guess, because I know it tends to work like this, where, you know, if there's a really nice apartment complex that has, like, penthouses or whatever, it's like, it's not typically just, like, one famous person. It's like, it's multiple people that either, are famous or have a lot of, like, they're rich, you know, so they're going to, so it's like they're going to have, you know, security for that level of standard.
Yeah, they should.
Yeah.
I skipped ahead a little bit after that to when she's giving the speech for the underprivileged youth.
Oh, that was a freaking disaster.
When she goes out there, first off, wow, seriously, nobody's gonna tell the girl that she's got lipstick smears all over her face? F every single one of those people. Rude. Not one person said, sweetie, you might want to touch up. You got something, like, over here. Then no one stops her in the middle of what seems to be a mental breakdown in the speech. Like, it's just devolving worse and worse and worse as she goes on.
Yeah, they're like, let's see where this goes. And crying. Yeah.
But then also, if someone's having, like, a mental breakdown and all, and psychotic break, maybe don't approach them from behind.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Especially not the old lady. Like, maybe don't, sweetie. Obviously was hazardous to her health.
Very.
And after that, which obviously there were videos of it because they mentioned it in the bar later. No one put her in like a
Psychiatric
72-hour
Yeah, for real.
psychiatric thing, because I feel like, especially with video evidence, there's a problem and she needs to speak with someone. You got multiple witnesses. I get that she's famous and she's about to go on tour and all, but I feel like that's kind of all the more reason to talk to someone. And she threw the lady basically into a table off of the stage. So I feel like that should have been kind of mandatory, honestly. But sure, movie's got a movie. We got to keep that going. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to the bar. And we meet the ER nurse, supposedly, who gives her the information from the previous movie, sort of. And I'm sorry, he says, from what he can tell. From what, sir? From what research? What is he basing this hypothesis on? That if she feigns death, it'll just go away.
Yeah.
Like, that's a good guess, but what are you basing it on? Like, he didn't say, oh, this person drowned and their heart stopped for a few minutes and they brought them back, like they were able to resuscitate them and they're now fine and living their life. No, he's just like, oh, it went down the line. My brother was like 8 people before you and all, and I didn't believe him, but I am an ER nurse, so I can do this.
Yeah.
And it should work. So should TM work?
Should TM. Yeah.
But sure, I don't understand. Like, it's an interesting theory, like I said. But what is he basing it on? Because I feel like I would have needed some hard evidence before then too. At least at that point, only 3 days in. Maybe closer to it. But we also don't know if she actually did meet him at that point.
Right, yeah.
Or not. And if she wasn't actually talking to a guy there, like it was the trauma demon, why would it give her that information?
Yeah.
Just to play with her some more, I guess?
I don't know.
That was a little confusing. Again, the police should have gotten her information well before then. If she was known to have dealt with like drugs and like been involved in a DUI that resulted in a death, I feel like they should have had her information on file, most likely, at very least her fingerprints or something.
Yeah.
Something. But you know, phone records at least can be tracked. I know it could potentially take a little bit, but I feel like they should have found her a lot sooner.
Yep.
It seems like the demon made her hallucinate everything to do with the wellness clinic. So I had initially taken off for the driver being there if Gemma wasn't even real. Like, why was he just sitting on the street? Why wasn't he parked in a parking lot or garage or something? Because her mom and the assistant Joshua had been there clearly for a while. And if that was their driver, which he knew her, and it seemed like she recognized him mostly, then why was he just sitting on the street and not parked somewhere else? Gemma wasn't real. She was a hallucination.
Yeah.
So he didn't just bring her. So why was he there?
I don't know.
But yeah, why also would the demon make her hallucinate that it was in a Pizza Hut, like an abandoned Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
I got questions for this trauma demon. That's what you come up with.
Yeah.
It's an abandoned Pizza Hut. Let's use this refrigerator, and I can't get the lights working, but I got the freezer working, the walk-in freezer working. With all the stuff set up. Are there outlets in the walk-in freezers? Because he had a bunch of equipment in there too that would have needed power. Like, I got questions about that setup. I got questions about how he got the freezer working, but he couldn't get the lights working. But there were lights in the freezer that worked. So none of
It
that
depends on how it's set up. Because I worked at a place that did have like a freezer.
Mhm.
And there were lights, but there weren't. I don't remember there being any. Because it is like literally like a box that they had like installed.
yeah.
There's like metal.
It wouldn't really make sense for there to be outlets in there.
Yeah. Yeah, because anything
could also
that you're
get
going to
iced
be
over.
using, you would bring out of the freezer. Yeah.
Yes. So, like, that, none of that made sense. And then when she got up on the stage, you could easily tell what was going to happen. With the forceful shoving of the microphone, I feel like the angle was wrong for what it was, personally. But it was a nice effect. It was a good image, at least, for it. But I do have questions about how it passes, because in the previous movie, they had actually shown some video clips of some of the other deaths, like the jumper, and how she jumped at a conference, and there were multiple witnesses, but it seemed like the demon only followed one.
That's very true.
So, would it actually have needed to go on stage? I feel like if it only passes to one, as they established in the first movie, unless it was an oopsie poopsie, then, it should only transfer to one person, in which case that was very extra of the trauma demon to go on stage.
It's just extra.
Very. Very. Also, the trauma demon looked a little bit different than in the first one. Not by much, but a little bit.
Yeah. But still good practical effects, though.
It is. It is. Very unsettling effects for, like, the eyes when she turns and looks back at first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, on the one hand, the eyes themselves look kind of, like, a little cheesy.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. But at the same time, like, the effect as a whole is very, very unsettling and worked. As cheesy as it was, it kind of worked.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I kind of miss the horror movies that, like, give a good ending, though. It's like, I kind of wish that they would do that with this one. Like, they can still keep making more small movies.
They had to set it up just like the first movie for the continuance of the trauma demon. Like, they didn't escape. They should, I feel like, do one where they actually do get away from it, but it's still transferred somehow to someone else.
Yeah.
So.
I agree.
Yeah. Kind of like it would remind me a little bit of Final Destination.
Yeah.
How if you, like, avoid your death or someone saves you, it skips you in the line.
Oh man, could you imagine, like, anyone that had, like, survived the demon beforehand, if it is like, oh no, I'm gonna go back to you now and try again.
You're just a placeholder. You were skipped for now.
Yeah.
But they avoided me, so now I get to go back.
Yeah. Like that would be but who knows? But
yeah. But I got questions and they weren't answered with the movie, and I feel like they should have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like overall I feel like it's a decent movie, especially for a sequel. Like it
was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, it's like we definitely have questions on some of the decisions that they made. And
Sidebar. Girl, with the water bottles. I was impressed at the chugging of the water bottles.
I was like, God damn.
Damn, that's a skill. Just saying. Didn't affect any of the ratings or anything. It was just a side note. Every time she grabbed one of those, product placement boss water bottles and just chugged the entire thing. I was like, all right, damn, girl.
I remember us not being super happy with the first movie's ending either. I feel like this one's a little bit worse of an ending, but I remember us kind of wanting more from the previous movie's ending too.
Yeah, a little bit.
But this one, I feel like the ending itself causes all sorts of problems, and then some of the decisions that they made also create problems. Like her, killing her mom or whatever is like, yeah, she could have actually done that, but if she makes it, then it just
retconned the whole thing.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like they were trying to go one way with it, and then they're like, this didn't work, and scrap it. And we'll just go the other way.
Yep. But thank you for joining us today, and let us know what you thought of the movie. And if you'd like to recommend a movie, game, or tea, you can leave us a comment or join our Discord. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our content, you can find our link tree listed below.
And if you'd like to support the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share our content. We also have a Teespring and PayPal donate button if you'd like to support us monetarily. You can find, again, all of those sites mentioned linked below. But until the next time, guys, stay safe and stay spoopy.
Bye.